Morara Kebaso was involved in a very tragic accident coming out from Embu going back to Nairobi. You know what? We tend to see this as a government assassination. You know what? This is the whole story. My good name is Antony Njenga, and this is Eve Media Kenya, the #1 online TV. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Let us dive into this. Ladies and gentlemen, Morara Kebaso has been exposing all the government lies, all the government evils in a very good manner, in a video called, you know what, Vampire's Diaries. And many people have not been liking him because of that, because he has been exposing all the lies, especially when President Ruto, because he has that particular tendency of going from one particular county to another with those particular filthy lies, like to tender in 2 weeks time I'll do this, in 3 weeks time I'll be able to do this, I'll construct this particular highway, I'll do this and this and this, which majority of us knows that it is total lies. But you know what? As Morara Kebaso was coming out from Embu yesterday, he was involved in a very tragic accident. His Toyota Prado, or his Toyota J150, hit another particular car. Poof! And all the legs, I can't generally say, not the legs, the wheels, all the wheels of that particular car went out. It was so bad. All the air balloons in that particular car exploded. I can't generally say that no one was injured, but according to Morara Kebaso was saying that the person who was so mistaken was the guy in front of him, because he was drunk and he was on the road. But when you look at that particular case very clearly, sometimes we tend to pretend that we don't know who it was. Sometimes we tend to a lot. When you go back in history, in this particular country, a lot of dictators, leaders used accidents, to kill some of their critics. It has not happened for the first time. So Morara Kebaso, thank God that you are alive. Thank God that you are alive. You are not injured. The accident was not terrible, because look at the car that you are driving. Might you, if you are driving a low-end car, a small, not an SUV, an SUV has some advantages when it comes to accidents, that it is a long body car. So if it was a small car like a Vitz, those particular cars used for taxi, if those particular cars, my friend, you could have not made it out of that particular accident. It was terrible. What are my opinion about this? There is high chances that was a government assassination. This particular terrible government, they don't like being told the truth. When someone comes out, in fact, it comes at a very funny time. Look at it. Was it 2 days ago? It was definitely 1 day ago. 1 day ago, Morara Kebaso had came out and said, you know what? I have been threatened for life by this particular politician. They have been threatening me, sending people to threaten me, threaten my life, and say, you know what? You should not do this, you should not do this. They even invested to some bloggers, making Morara Kebaso looks like a criminal. That's it. But when you tell people that this is like Morara Kebaso assassination, They are not looking, they are not opening their eyes and seeing at this. By the way, we need to say this, that MORARA KEBASO should be protected. Otherwise, this particular guy, he is a senior counsel, a senior lawyer. He is going to disappear like that. And because he is doing the best work, you know, the MORARA KEBASO campaigns of Vampire Diaries showing you the most corrupt projects that are here in our country. I can definitely term it as a Lord's work or the community work, communal work, because this is what we should be doing. We should be exposing these all lies and asking the government to be responsible for all these particular projects. If the government started some particular projects and they are not working, why should we keep quiet about them? Why? Can you tell me why should we not ask for all those particular projects that the government have been bringing to us, for it to complete them fully complete them? Why? But because we have something that we call fear in ourselves, we are not ready to face the truth and face the bull by its horns. This is the time. In fact, we should be telling the president, stop lying, no more other lies. We want you to say whatever you know that you will definitely deliver. By the way, what is that big deal of saying this I will not be able to do and this there is no big deal, because no one will be angry at you, because they will be like, at least for the first time you have been frank to us. You know, many people out here fear politicians like they are some big things. Do you know we have more power than those particular politicians? Because we are the people responsible who put those particular politicians into power. We are the people responsible and who goes to the voting, tunaweka huyu, tunangoa huyu, you know. So we have a lot of power more than them. We can be able to tell them not to do this and they completely follow that. Look at the what we did with the finance bill 2024. We told them not to vote for it. They went ahead and voted for it. We, the people, the people's power, went out on the streets and told the government, don't sign that particular thing. Did they listen? Finally, they listened, because the power belongs to the people. The power doesn't belong to the executive. Who told you? So, if we demand for MORARA KEBASO to be protected fully, he will. He will. And you know what? That accident, I can't definitely say it was deliberately an assassination move. A lot of activists here in Kenya have died through these particular road accidents. I'll not mention them. There are so many. Even a lot of people have been assassinated through this particular accident. Look at one of my all-time favorite politician from Nyeri was Dr. Homega Kuru, was involved in a very tragic accident. And looking at the car that he was driving, my nigga, there is a lot of impossibilities that that particular car cannot be involved in that manner of an accident. It has some error. If you followed even to the conclusions of the case, the investigations, you could hear that the car had an error. Who made it to have an error? Look at some of the most dopest politicians. George Saitoti and Oro Ajode crashed in an airplane which it was impossible even to happen. Look at that particular chopper that they were, traveling with. It was not meant to travel at that particular time. The pilot was not, and the co-pilot were not meant to travel at that particular time. That particular aircraft was assigned them later. So you tend to tell me it was a mistake. It was not a mistake. It was a deliberate assassination. But you know what? We keep asking, who assassinated them? We don't find the answer. We never know. But we tend to think wrongly. By the way, Kenyans tend to think that the person who assassinated George Saitoti is the one, but he is not the one, in fact. It's another nigger, the guy who pretends not to do those particular things, pretends to be a saint. One day I'll come out and give you this particular whole narrative on what went on that particular job, because a lot of you will definitely be able to open their eyes and see, oh my God, we used to think it is this particular guy because he wanted to learn for this. But you will definitely find out that he is not the one. It is another dude who has never even tasted the presidency. By the way, that's the whole truth. Let me give a small story about it so that you can be able to relate about it. Professor George Saitoti and Oro Ajode were great patriots of this particular country. They were on the first hand of fighting for this particular country. Do you know what made them to be killed? The thing was, there was this particular drug cartels who are supplying drugs from Kenya to America. I'm talking about cocaine. And those particular guys, let me shorten the story, were the drug cartels were the people who were responsible for killing George Saitoti. Many people tend to say that it was somebody who killed him because he was looking for presidency. No. In fact, there was no problem with that. The problem was because one time he banned a full drug cartels and made other particular drug cartels to be arrested by the government of United States of America. That is the bitter truth about it. But you know what? We didn't come up here to speak about that. You will tell me if you want me to just narrate that, but I will definitely narrate that particular whole story. So stay tuned here. So let us go back to MORARA KEBASO's case. MORARA KEBASO says that he was involved in this particular accident because there was a guy who was so drunk, was driving carelessly the way he wants, and made him to crash. But you know what, my guys? That story seems to be so different from the truth. The government uses other particular models to assassinate you. There was this particular priest who was a very good activist, was killed by the Moise regime. I don't remember the name of that priest from Western. So he was involved in an accident and he didn't die from that particular accident. He was conscious. When he was conscious is the time a policeman came out with a substance in his handkerchief which was so poisonous. And when he found that particular, was it a bishop or a priest, that particular religious man, when he found him that he was unconscious, he took the handkerchief and the substance, put it in his nose, he inhaled it and died from that. The same thing was meant to happen to this particular dude by the name MORARA KEBASO. The person who made MORARA KEBASO to have an accident was targeting for MORARA KEBASO to hit that particular car, roll and be injured. What comes next? An ambulance. Ambulance was already there. The ambulance was not made to come to pick MORARA KEBASO, was made to come pick MORARA KEBASO, inject him with poison, and the guy vanishes. They wanted to destroy MORARA KEBASO. But you know what? People are out there not knowing this was meant to happen. People are out there not knowing that MORARA KEBASO was the main target in that particular accident. Do you know what? When some particular people in the government want to finish your career completely, they look for any excuses. Any. And when you are not careful about it, you will be gone for life. To senior Castle MORARA KEBASO, you need to be so careful. In this particular world, we know you are doing an excellent job, but there are some people who are not happy with you. So take care. Take care and ask for protection publicly. You need to ask for it, because if you don't ask for it, some people will never know that you are suffering. By the way, that's it. You need to speak about it. And many people went out there. Some were bashing MORARA KEBASO, telling me, that's a normal accident. That it is not normal. There's nothing like normal anymore. Kitambo kulikuanga na normal? Kweli hakukuanga. So you want to tell me kitambo hakukuanga na normal? Sasa ndio unaniambia there is a normal thing. That was a normal accident. My nigga. You know, in this particular country, assassination was there kitambo. Sasa hii nikaa imerudi, mtu wangu. And we are so many few steps ahead of getting our freedom. We need to ask for it. You know what? People, I keep telling you this. It was our own mistake to vote for bad leadership, and for others not to vote. Better you could have voted rather than not voting. So I beg you, or when it comes to 2027, be ready to vote. Make your vote count, so that when we vote in bad leaders, it could be on our own, and we will be responsible for that. Mind you, all of us has brains, and remember to educate your parents. You know one particular bad thing? Some of our parents, I'm talking about some, but not nowadays. Nowadays things have changed. Some of our parents, some of our grandparents were not learned. And one thing that I keep saying, education is so important, because you know how to differentiate between the truth and the false. In fact, it is so hard to lie to a learned person. You can lie to him on a past certain particular things, But when it comes to political matters, all learned people just knows what should be done and what should not be done. So our own grandparents, our own parents, some were not privileged to be learned. And one particular mistake that they did, whatever they were being told by these particular presidential aspirants from these particular politicians, they used to believe to it. We will be able to build an airport in this particular place. We build a tarmac road in this particular road. And they were like, yeah, that should be done right now. But some of the youth and other generation knew, see, that is a lie, because that particular road even doesn't belong to national government. They belong to county government. When you hear county government, when you hear a governor saying that this particular road should be tarmac, and he works for county government, and that particular road is not for county government, it's for national government, you just know that's a lie, because you need to know to differentiate between the national roads, county roads. You have to differentiate all those particular scenarios. My nigga, you need to learn a lot. There is a lot that needs to be taught to you. But you know what? Each and every particular time, people tend to forget. People tend to forget what they had gone through. Like, for instance, 2027 is coming, and some people will start to forget the bad governance, the bad, filthy things that this particular terrible government has been doing. And they will be like, we need to do this. But you know what? At the end of the day, we need to be specific on what we want. My niggas, MORARA KEBASO, be careful, as well as other particular political activists and other Kenyan activists, of course. You need to be careful, because this particular government, you need to look at it straight in their face and tell them this is shit. Tell them this is wrong, this is corruption, this is embezzling of funds. We need to talk. This is our time. My good name is Antony Njenga, and this is Media Kenya, the #1 online TV. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Until the next one, guys, bye bye for now. Peace.